In 1885, Colorado builds the first bridge across the Colorado River, which is not this one. This one was a replacement made in the year of our Lord, 1933. And the thing with these bridges is, to me, always, I can't help the feeling that, or we have these ruins, sort of, these piers or pylons that pre-exist, these footings, a brick or stone, and then we just lay a pre-made metal bridge across it and act as if it's a fantastic feat of engineering. Don't get me wrong, the massive cable bridges and bridges themselves are incredible feats of engineering. I don't see too many of them doing things like this. And you just see this time and time again, these weathered old footings underneath a shiny steel bridge. Yeah, it just seems odd. That's all I'm saying. Not that they're all like that, but it seems like the ones on these surveys are. And I'll couple that with the observation that oftentimes under these bridges is a lot of peculiar rubble that just happens to imitate the stone in the area. I don't know. I'm sure you've seen them. I pointed them out before. We all know what's going on. Well, actually, that's not true. Very few of us do. I don't even know what's going on. So belay that statement. This is an oddly constructed cabin. Look at the two parts. It's almost like it's got a skirt on. Well, far be it for me to try to judge another cabin's gender, of which I'm told there are infinite. So if there are infinite amount of genders, then one is bound to make a mistake here and there. So I will cause the cabins they, just to be safe. And if they're not a they, I'll say that I'm just German, and that's my accent. That's what I'm saying. Here we have a series of cabins that look like they've seen better days. I mean, I hope they've seen better days, but it's possible that they're in their prime now. Truth be told, if I built that, it would be in its prime, and I'd be pretty proud of it. But I didn't build it. And so for that reason, whoever did should feel a deep sense of shame for it sucking so bad. Criticisms for thee, not for me, if you know the lingo. I only learned from the best. Now, of this one, I just can't find any damn documentation. It's allegedly part of a Mary Murphy mining complex, which I appreciate the name. It's in Iron City, and it's seen better days. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that. Name like Mary Murphy Mining, well, you gotta be putting out better buildings than that. And I know they're old. Whoa! What happened here? This is amazing. It's almost like it's an art piece. It like signifies like the downfall and the degradation of our modern paternal unfair whatever something. I don't know, Jim. I'm not woke. You fill me in. I got nothing. Strange Birdhouse or Excellent Directory. You make up your mind. Finally, we got these little plants trapped. We're hoping for lobster, but plants will do. Bizarre little cemetery here, and a lot of rustic stuff out here going on in the outskirts of Colorado. Curious. It's almost as if I knew that was coming, but I didn't. Look how different that looks. Different era. This looks like a facing. This looks like it's more original. Or it could all be facing. This is a concrete slab. I don't know. But look at these rocks. These rocks is probably the same as these rocks. Don't you think? I think so. What came first? Which rocks? Oh, so hard to decipher, Scoob. Like the clues are haunted. Finally, something I can cut my teeth into. Well, not really. I did know a guy once that bit a church. I was with him. His name was Chad Carnahan. Chad, you church biter, I hope you find this one day, and you can say that I blew up your spot in an honest and accurate manner, and with a bit of humor. Although, this isn't even a church, so I don't even know why that came up. This is the Union Pacific Railroad station, he said, stalling time as he looked it up. As you probably couldn't tell from the title right on the top of the door there, which I was hoping that you didn't see before I totally blew my own cover. Being behind myself. This is a warehouse. That's it. Unusual attention to style and detail for such a purpose, don't you agree? If only this little Datsun wasn't in the way, I could see those basement windows. You see, Denver was founded on the dreams of gold discovery, but the early settlers realized that the establishment of railroad traffic was the key to a stable prosperity for the city. When the Union Pacific Railroad chose to bypass Denver and go through Cheyenne, Wyoming on its transcontinental route, well, Denver businessmen weren't having it. They're going to organize. They're going to raise funds. They're going to bring the Kansas Pacific into Denver. That'll show them. At the same time, John Evans, Colorado's second territorial governor, Ping Tao, convinced Congress to agree to a 900,000-acre land grant for the Union Pacific on the condition that it would connect to Kansas and the Union. Oh, please, government, please, we'll give up half our land if only the railroad company will use it to connect us to the grid. We want to be cool, too. Thusly, the first Union Pacific train arrived from Cheyenne in June 1870, and the first Kansas Pacific Main arrived from Kansas 2 months later. By 1890, 4,176 miles of track were in use in Colorado. That is a quick turnaround. Denver was the focus of rail activity in the region. As the rails converged in Denver, so did the wholesalers, warehouses, and merchants. So did the goods that were shipped primarily from the east, because, there was nothing out west pretty much, and shipped out to all parts of Colorado. Well, I guess there was California, but it was new. Smelters moved from mining towns to Denver. Labor was plentiful. Ores could be brought in by rail. Fuel could be hauled there cheaply. Gold, silver, and copper could be shipped out efficiently. Then in 1896, the Union Pacific opened new shops at Pullman, which is north of Denver, and later became a part of Denver, but at first it was just a few shops and a station. That station was on 40th Avenue and York Street. Adding lines, developing industries, this was the Union Pacific's forte, and they developed coal mines. The train company developed coal mines north of Denver and added lines to the wheat fields of northeast Colorado. Of course, fuck the wheat. We want coal, damn it. Also in 1910, the Union Pacific purchased a parcel of land for $40,000. And that parcel of land is where this warehouse resides. Boosh. There were 8 different railroad lines in 1914. Now we're up to 5,700 miles of track. Due to expanded agriculture, it was blamed on, those damn farmers and all those tracks that they lay. Here's a newspaper article from 1926. In going after the business in Denver, the Union Pacific has from the beginning been vigorous and spent money with a lavish hand. New freight facilities for Denver have become provided at an expense of more than $600,000. This includes brick pavement for its inbound and outbound freight houses and all of its other team tracks, completely paved, giving about 1.5 miles of paved alleys for freight purposes. What of you, gentlemen? No architect is listed for the work. Generally, the engineering department of the Union Pacific did the work. So there she is. Another old world beauty with no known architect. The Union Pacific Railroad knew what dollar amount they spent on every tiny little thing, but they couldn't tell you who designed it. They say, generally, someone that worked here. But the sad part about it is, all that wanton waste, bulldozing this, sure, it provides jobs. But you talk about the destruction where we live. You're talking about vast amounts, thousands and thousands of miles, cutting through wheat fields, even this prime property in the city. Bulldozed, built up, polluted, and then just abandoned. Now, why didn't Union Pacific Railroad have to come back in and clean this shit up? Why didn't they have to come pay for the demolition of it? How could they just walk away? What did these business people know when you get to a certain level that we don't know? We're talking about miles of industry. Imagine you go build something out there and be like, yeah, start a logging company, and here's what we're going to rent, and, build this operation, and then just, it's not as good as it used to be. I'm filing bankruptcy, and just walk away, leaving all this stuff here to get boarded up, to become just a place of avoidance, to require someone with vast pockets to come in and clean this up. And you mean to tell me none of this stuff is salvageable? Nothing. One day it worked, and then one day it just all immediately fell apart? No way. Wasters. Massive train stations in every city. Why? Who runs this friggin' place? If you find out, let me know if they got a comment box and can drop something off. Because I'm sure they care about the common man things. Well, I would if I was them. Completely untouchable by law, like quasi-billionaire. Of course I would care about what every tiny person thinks. I like good jokes. Maybe I just like to laugh. That was my impression of Coal Baron being asked if he wanted to set up a comment box. The old John and Mary Feldman farm, eh? Why, this place here. I can remember back in my old salad years when everything was fresh and green. Talk about better times we had then. True, we did. Better times indeed. I actually know nothing about this place, but apparently it dates to 1912. Okay? The cellar walls are also made of concrete. I'm not sure why that's so notable, but it is. It says right here. They made a note. The yard around the house is raised, held in place by a low concrete retaining wall. Or the foundation of the old house was bigger, and then they just set up on the inside. I don't know. I don't even know, man. That was a weird stop. I mean, they told me literally nothing about that place, and there was not even a good picture. It was like kind of a farm. All right, goodbye. Hope you got all that. I know I didn't. Now, this is the High Line Canal. Back to our Colorado narrative here. Early travelers through the eastern high plains of Colorado found little promise that the region could and would support widespread settlement. Zebulon Pike, the explorer, He had described the Great Plains as sandy deserts in 1810 and included as part of a Great Desert, identified on an 1822 map. A new vision of the area as a western prairie of vast untapped potential, however, was introduced and popularized by writers such as John C. Fremont. Settlement of Colorado came rapidly, beginning with 1859 gold discoveries that somehow everyone heard about, but agricultural development lagged because farmers were forced to invent and employ new techniques of production adapted to the untested climate and terrain. Developers and businessmen believed that the success of mining rested partially upon the creation of a flourishing agriculture sector, because, we've got to eat something, and sought ways to encourage its growth. The largest and most ambitious of the 19th century projects, which attempted to bring agricultural settlement to Colorado, was this Highline Canal, of which the Sand Creek Lateral was an integral component. This here Sand Creek Lateral. Well, it was asserted by Colorado's early promoters that irrigation systems would turn the state into a veritable garden spot, because all it needs is water. They could make smaller farms, denser settlement, imagine it, gentlemen, water for every man. The first irrigated farming had been undertaken by Spanish colonists in the early 1850s, so, not a new idea. In 1859, David Wall of Golden made the first successful attempt at irrigated farming in the Denver area, except they just literally told us that Spanish colonists had been doing it since the 1850s. But nevertheless, dude, Mr. Wall just did it, dude. He's the first guy that counted. Organizations such as the Colorado Agricultural Society aggressively promoted the state's irrigated farming possibilities, and they purchased 12,000 acres of Denver Pacific Railroad. Wait, what? The Agricultural Society purchased 12,000 acres of Denver Pacific Railroad land? Why did they own the land? God, he's frickin'. Then the Chicago, Colorado colony bought 55,000 acres of land to be irrigated, built canals, and established the town of Longmont. Then a colony was established at Fort Collins, and a ditch was constructed to serve the settlement. Soon there was an irrigation convention with participants from everywhere. President Grant became an early advocate of irrigation development, urging federal endorsement of Western water interests. Yes, feds, please get involved with more of our water. We'd love that. Again, we have the same kind of theme of the president himself even urging people, go out there, go to California, go to Colorado, dig ditches, build trains, mine for gold. What is the deal? If you find some on your land, by the way, tell them it's yours now, and hold up this paper. And if they protest in a language you can't understand, kill them. And then when that gets out of hand, what do? Invent the Civil War? Kill them. Blame the Civil War. Blame smallpox. Whichever one you want. This, of course, led to attempts of creating an organized system of water ownership. Can you believe it? Common law doctrine regarding water, they found to be inapplicable at this hearing, and they gave the state control of the water. Now, under the riparian rights doctrine, common law doctrine regarding water, owners of lands along the banks of streams or other bodies of water had the right to reasonable use of the waters, and they had the protection, more importantly, against unreasonable use of the waters by others that diminished the quantity or quality of the water. That right did not depend on prior use, so plentiful areas of plentiful water, that's working great. Colorado, too little land contacted water for the system to be fair. This is what they decided. The state favored the doctrine of prior appropriation, basically known as first come, first serve. Theory, they did this to grant the urban use priority over any other, with agricultural and then manufacturing second and third. So now you got this group, real estate speculator, who buys 100,000 acres of railroad land grant owned by the Kansas Pacific, which you remember, the federal government, the mayor of Denver, gave that land to the Kansas Pacific. And now here you have Kansas Pacific selling these 100,000 acres to the irrigation company. I wonder, there's no room for a conflict of interest there. The irrigation company invited the public to support the project, but failed to secure sufficient capital. You guys want to pay for this? No? Fuck. Regards to this canal, which I've been bogarting that picture for too long, was constructed by English capitalists James Barclay and James Duff, who owned Colorado Mortgage and Investment Company. So they rolled in, created a private irrigation project, investing in banking, mining, and cattle, the irrigation systems. So they turned the Kansas Pacific acreage into desirable farmland due to this canal, and then sold it. Jesus. These fucking people. In addition to selling these tracts of land to farmers for profit, irrigation company then would sell the water right, and they charge them an annual rent on a per acre basis for the water right holders. Profit-oriented ditch digging, that's what I calls it. It did quadruple the number of farms in the area, in the state. And why do we have 3 doorways here? That's a little odd. A little bit of unnecessary expenditure to put a little flare on this part here that no one will ever see. Let's see, watch this. Maybe they're not doorways. Maybe this is different. Oh yeah, they are. Look at that one picture. Wait, where'd it go? There. What the I knew there were doorways. Very bizarre. And here, finally, is where you'll be sleeping, Jennifer. Dinner's at 8. I dare you to run your hand along that board. Ooh, what's the over-under on the splinters you would get? How many? I don't know what to think about that shit. Oh, yeah, you couldn't melt those down and make anything with them. It's just worthless, huh? All of it's worthless. The hell happened here? Well, Jim, it looks like it was the scene of a vicious murders. Murder my fucking brain with that lack of creativity. Well, what this is the Sound Democrat Mill. Not kidding. It is what it's called. The Sound Democrat. It looks about like a Sound Democrat. This is more like the ground that a Sound Democrat's arguments are based off of. That's what I'd rather call it. That's definitely more correct. That's not the name of it. It's just a Sound Democrat Mill, okay? As you know, Colorado, one of the most productive mining states and second after California in gold production, is a host of mining regions divided into 44 mining districts, we're told. Now, we're told that 4 of the top 25 gold-producing gold mining districts are here in Telluride District, was part of the mining region. The rather rich district was part of the Southwest, which included mines at the Rico, Ouray, Lake City, and other places like that. Prospectors discovered the lodes of the San Juan Mountains in the 1860s. They sold their claims to mining corporations, and what the fuck does all this have to do with anything? Now, of all the mills listed by the Bureau of Mines today, in 1911 report, none operate. Although no systematic inventory of all standing mills has ever been undertaken, knowledgeable individuals recall that no single historic mill in the San Juan Mountains still stands with its machinery intact except the Sound Democrat. It's the best remaining example of a stamp mill in Colorado. And if this is the best... Yeesh. So what these stamps here, they use a process called amalgamation to extract gold. It's an ancient process, really, which mercury is used to extract gold from its ores. Oh, that old mercury. And gold has an affinity for mercury, a phenomenon known even by the Romans. In the Middle Ages, especially in Germany, decidedly not Roman, crushing technology was developed in which metal stamps were dropped on ores. Then the crushed ore passed over sheets covered with mercury where the gold was extracted. This technology was imported into the American West, and water power was replaced by steam engines and then electricity, and then the Hulk came through and said, fuck this place. Hulks will smash. That is inevitable when the Hulk is involved. Matter of time. A band of prospectors who discovered gold in the headwaters of the Animas River, Reuben I. McNutt and George Howard staked the quartz outcroppings. The vagabond prospectors seeking easy-to-work gold mines are the first ones to discover the claim here. Well, of course they were. I mean, who else is going to discover it except for vagabond prospectors? By Jesus, there's gold in them hills. Yeehaw! Don't tell the others. I mean, tell them, but don't tell them. Something like that. Let me think out. It's too bad I already told Jennifer where to sleep, because this would have been maybe better. But, either way. Dinner's still at 8. Timber Creek Bunkhouse and Mess Hall. That's right. That's what this one is. Yes, sir. And I wish I had a cool story to tell you. I do. I really do. Because this one is a real old world stunner. Wow. Victorian trim. How'd they do it? How in the world were they even able to do this in those days? Like, that fence, the detailing, the use of space. It's so artistic. Wouldn't you agree? One last look. Okay, goodbye. On to more modern ugly things. Oh, man. Jennifer. Do you have a twin? So many rustic properties out here. Oh, that's a great addition. Oh my god, I could totally see the world curve. Look. Look at this house like. It's amazing how they go from these old stuff in the city to these rustic old cabins. Like, what? It's the same thing. It's like, really? This is the same thing as that, huh? Out here, this is a feature worthy enough to put in the register. Denver, and you get these massive buildings designed with immaculate, and they're like, tear it down. I can't make head or tails of it. Get it straight, Jimmy. Ooh, F up the sound, Jim. There's a soup kitchen. Your immediate future. No. Papers, documents, drawings. Goods, bro. Give me the goods. This is the baseline bridge. Well, up there anyway. You can kind of see it from the picture. See, it's like right up there. Rather unimpressive. Simple steel bridge. Scheduled for replacement. Built in 1926. In less than a year it took. I'm not there today. Hell, what do I know? I know that Gigi's the best. That's what it says right there. My arrow's there. This here's the old Brantner Ditch, the oldest irrigation system in Water District Number 2, constructed by pioneer farmers and still serves as an important component of the agricultural industry in this portion of Colorado's northeastern plains. Shazam. It's actually a canal 20 miles in length. Dates back to Colorado's gold rush days. Brothers Samuel and Jonas Brantner, both veterans of the California goldfields, lured here to the Pikes Peak region by news of gold discoveries in 1859. They weren't interested in mining, though. No, sir. They sought land for their agriculture pursuits and knew the gold camps and Argonauts would provide a ready market for their produce. Clever, clever. Samuel built a log house, which was utilized by immigrants traveling over the Cherokee Trail as a stop on the route to and from Denver. It became known as 4 Mile Station. Him and his brother each bought 160 acres of land right next to each other and began to farm. They started digging an irrigation system, the brothers, that would evolve into the Brantner Ditch. In 1 year, they had completed a line 1 1/4 miles in length, 5 feet in width, and 3 feet deep. Other people jumped in and helped them over the following years, the next 3 years. P.W. Snyder, Margaret Brantner, Jonas' wife, Maggie McCool and A.R. McCool, Bill Murray, and Bill Lee. Wow, those sound like some really legitimate people. By 1863, the total length was 3 miles, 8 feet across the bottom, and 4 to 5 feet deep. Luckily, in 1880, an opportunity arose. A group of farmers in Weld County formed the Brantner Extension Ditch Company, which was incorporated in March 1880. The stated purpose of the company was to construct, to build, and to operate irrigation ditches. Well, then you've named yourself properly. This here is the Highland Extension Canal System, or, well, what's left of it. Most of this is going to be falling inside the area, the 55 square miles that the Denver airport was going to be built on, which is the only reason why they featured this, survey to mitigate the damage that they were going to cause by completely wiping it off the face of the earth. So that's part of it. And multiple bridges and various farms were also a victim to this airport, which is oddly, if you've ever flown to Denver, it's very oddly placed, shaped. The whole building is bizarre, but aside from all that, that's a whole other story. It's not convenient at all. It's very far outside, just kind of plopped in the middle of some farmland. So it's strange to see that they actually destroyed historic properties and were forced to list them on this survey as a means of, we'll make it up to you. We'll tell everyone you were cool. It's a very California tactic. This is the Golda Meir House, significant because of its association with Golda Meir, the first woman prime minister of Israel. She lived here from February 1913 until at least June 1914, when she developed her intense interest in Zionism. It was moved from its original date in 1982, and we're told the building is in poor condition, damaged by moves and by a fire in 1984, presently sitting on temporary beams without a foundation and boarded up and fenced off. Now we're told that the Building Inspection Division of the city has determined that this house is unsafe and must either be removed, repaired, or demolished. No funds are available to pay for the rehab, so I guess it's bye-bye, Mr. Golda Meir House. You and your secrets. I wonder when they moved it, did they move the basement too? Because I find that to be just a little bit difficult to wrap my little pea brain around. But who am I? No one. This is the Lawrence and 15th Street commercial building, and that's absolutely all you need to know about it. They're claiming it was built in 1981. That makes no sense. It wouldn't even be eligible to be on here. It says right there on the friggin' side 1871. Get it straight, Colorado. Make me do your friggin' work for you. There's a juicy old world banger. That's what I'm talking about. The Essex Building, Lawrence and 16th Street. The only caption that we're given is that this is a street view. Gee, thanks. Fine, we'll look ourselves. And I like what I see. I like what I see. This is the Golden Eagle department store, again, with no information at all, period. Part of some urban renewal project, so I'm assuming that if it didn't get torn down, it don't look like that. But I could be wrong. And it's a stunning building, and I mean, we're to believe that just a bunch of miners came here, again, same story as California, and started cranking these bad boys out. I mean, seems a little odd to me. Daniels and Fisher's store. This one looking as if it's had a lot of these archways just bricked in, but that's of course very reckless speculation due to lack of any information. What choice have they given me? What choice, I say? They give you one picture of each, and they think that should do the trick. Well, it leaves me wanting for more. I'll tell you that much. This is the Interstate Trust Building, part of the Skyline Urban Renewal Project. 1890, the initial construction. 1890 on that. Yeah, if you buy that, looking a little kind of tipsy, Like maybe there's been a whole lot of shaking going on. The Clayton Block, also Lawrence and 17th Street. No information on this one either. Now, I'm not saying that no information exists. It probably does somewhere. But I'm saying on this survey, okay? Just be clear. And the top, as usual, I mean, this has got all the... Down here, they uglify it, modernize it, and then this looks like a bus pickup. I don't know. And then up top, more out of reach. The harder the reach it is, the less likely they are to refurbish it and completely drastically change it. So that's why you're often left with just the top here, looking at once how the whole building probably looked. I see no reason to assume otherwise, since no one does things like this to buildings anymore. unless they're repurposed completely. Man, the amount of these is just pretty staggering. These early part of the survey here, Colorado, not even skipping a single site, just one after another. That's pretty rare. Western Novelty Company, you know the deal by now. No information, but clearly of the old world design. Battery. Hell yeah, look at that bad boy. What a car. I'll take all that you got. Oh, look at that. They did it for me. I didn't even, it's like they knew. Freaking clovers. That doesn't fit in. Would you have your kids come decorate the cement while it was wet? Here's the entrance, I suppose. They can show you the fan motif or the little fake columns or whatever they are. I do appreciate that. You know, more pictures is always preferred to less pictures. So I'll take that as a sign that you've been listening to me. And I'm flattered. General novelty store. No information listed. A real old world beauty. What an amazing place. It probably was back then. Wow. Just look at that window. And no, I don't believe that was designed to be the cable railway company, no matter what it says. I'm not buying it. It almost looks like an alien, like with a stethoscope on his head, peering up over the ridge. Or maybe like he's got long hair, like this is his hair, right? Little hair. These are sunglasses, and these are his teeth, and he's just like, he's like a punk version of Darth Vader. But what a cool building. And this is part of it. You can see the continued motif or whatever in the back here. What the hell's that? That looks just like that last survey. We were told that it was a smelting chimney. And this is a stack, we're told. Okay, yeah, so it's a chimney, but this one's way too fancy just to be, get out of here with that. Who needs a chimney that tall? I've never seen any of these rail companies with a chimney like that. Something's a little fucky down here, as we would expect. This is the Brown Baker building, built in 1850. And that's all that you need to know, according to them. This dynamo, the Granite Hotel. If you want more information, you won't find it here. But that is a stunner. Imagine being told, hey, you gotta go tear down an old building. You show up and it's that one. God, wouldn't you feel guilty? I'd be like Miley Cyrus. I'd chain myself to the wrecking ball. I'm like, no, building freedom now. And I'd throw fake blood on the chest of the crane operator. Greenpeace taught me how. It's okay, the blood's sustainable. I like the pretty obviously whitewashed skies. This is the Fred Davis Furniture Mart and Railroad Building. This one has, oh, that's right, no information. But you already knew that, didn't you? They already know. Cool old car there. And it looks like things are a little run down here. Look, and I bet you I know more than this freaking survey wants to tell us. Built in 1881, this one. Yes, sir, and this is a street view picture. Love to see here. We'll do it right. This one is 1516 to 1520 Larimer Street. And it's a clothing store, and it's a cafe, and it's a brick. They don't even tell you when it was built, but I wouldn't withhold information from you, America. Not when it's so obvious, anyway. What kind of survey do you think I run here? A boring one. Shut up, Jimmy. You try to make this dry-ass material funny or interesting. I mean, you should be trying it. It's your job. I mean, if you were real. And fake people, dude. So whack. You know what I mean? Like, who do they think they are? This is the good block building. That is stunning. And so many of these built in the 1850, 1880 range. I mean, does that make any sense? Dirt roads and miners running here. And then here we are in the 60s or whatever, where, not even 100 years later, we're boarding them up and gonna tear them all down. This is 1888. It says right there in the building. That's how I know. Ain't no damn survey. Just one after the other. And this is what I was hoping to see here. Because I will admit, while they tear it down at a breathtaking rate, God only knows how much was actually there are still a lot of character in Denver buildings. Good block. There it is. Told you. And really, just a shame. It's so stunning. I hope it's still there. This one was built in 1879. You can tell by the little thing there that says 1879. If you can't read, I just read it for you. H-A-W Tabor Block. That name doesn't really flow off the tongue. And as surmised, they offered us no information that we couldn't glean from the picture. Built in 1879. No known architect. Great Northern Hotel, brick building, no initial construction date listed. Yeah, I like that. The good deal store. Like a couple of shifty guys next door. You should go over here. Why have you got good deals, I say?
Well, how much inventory do you have? Oh, we have a good deal of it. I'd love to come and look around, but you're probably closing soon, right? How much more time do I got? Oh, we got a good deal time left. This place is pretty sweet. How long you been here?
Well, not too long. We got grandfathered into a good deal on rent.
All right, I'm leaving.
Well, see you later. A good deal later. Fucking hate that guy. Sir, I just want to point that out. It's a weird name. Park free. The Gart brothers say so. Don't be regarded. Space age car. Love this old look. This one right here. Struggling to draw an arrow. Curtis Clark block. That's what it is. Yes, that's what it says up there. And the information on it, we're told, is the 1874 initial construction. And look at just how dilapidated the brick is on the side here. Wonder if there was something in between that they tore out that would render it so. The Gart brothers, you better look to your flanks, my boys. Just a bit of advice, that's all, from an old gardener. Old world Cornish Shazami, known as the Groff Collins, and W.S. Chessman buildings. 1881 initial construction. No known information listed elsewhere. That's it. That's all you get. Seems to be a theme. I like that. Jug 'em if you got 'em, bro. We'd love to see what Jim Beam tasted like back then, before it became a multi-conglomerate, soulless corporation. It's Sanitary Cafe. Oh, man. We got you guys need to work on your name game, because I'm not really doing it. This building looks crooked on the right. The Leaning Tower of clothing bought, sold, and exchanged everything of values just doesn't really seem to jive. So we're gonna stick with the one in Italy. National Hotel, we're told this is. End of sentence that was. Just another gorgeous buildings if you ignore the tacky fucking signs down here. G.I. Joe. So who the fuck do you think you are, buddy? You look like a 2-bit magician. This is a strategy for the night. What you want to do is, you want to take the gold that you made the mine over here, right? You want to go trade that gold in right here. Then you want to walk this way, right? The main entrance, look at the finger. You want to buy some rifles and pistols. You want to buy some musical instruments. You want to stagger down the street with your pistol and your fiddle and get wasted and do God knows what. And the next day, on your way back to the hotel, from where you wake up in the dirt with pee all over your pants that you hope is yours, then you can pawn everything you just bought, and then you can kind of recoup your losses. Except in the shame department. You've made an investment there, son. You made a deep deposit, and you can't remember your PIN, and you can't withdraw any funds ever again. It's there forever in the shame bank. So sleep on that. Make better decisions. Guys, you didn't make that decision, Jimmy. Based on real life, probably. That'll show them both. This is the Barclay block. They're just showing block at a time here. Just going through mailing it in, ain't they? Yeah, take a picture, knock it down. Take a picture, knock it down. What are you doing for lunch? This is the Barclay block. I already told you that. Well, it still is. And it was then, too. And of all the information that I have here in front of me, I'm going to share all of it. Which sounds like this. Did you get it? There isn't any. But God, what a beauty. And it's a damn shame if they've torn these down. I'm gonna get mad without even knowing the answer to that yet. But we'll get there. I'll leave no turn left unstoned. And judging by the state of the windows, I'd say this one is currently not really in use, despite its gorgeous appearance. This one looks like they sprayed stucco or some other crap all over every crown molding and every vestibule and every lintel and every fancy architect term. And they took great care in painting this nice giant Pepsi logo on the side. Yes, come get your poison. All of you. Bring your pets too. Everyone drink it up. This is some massive 360-degree tower for railroad transfers built in like 1910 and abandoned it 30 years later. Does that make sense? No, it does not. Why in every state do you have this? These big old buildings that are very industrial, that don't look industrial, look more like a church out here covered in graffiti, left to the ruins of some industry that just left the area. I didn't know you could do that. What a mess. Everywhere. Look at this fucking place. It's like this everywhere. Burnt, fire started here, arson, no doubt. We've all seen it. The old warehouse down on Mill Street burned. Yeah. This is all part of the urban renewal program. They're tearing all this shit out and putting in new stuff already. These massive industries. Second we got done digging these canals in America, what'd they do? Well, fucking deep in the cut. Ditch that whole industry. Now we're on the railroads. Second they got that through the whole country, now we're on the cars. Now we're on to like no cars. Yeah, they're killing the earth. Like this. What's this building doing out here? Looks like a temple. It's out here by this industrial area. What's going on there? This is your own country, if you're American. This is Denver. Late in the game, we're told. Late in the game. Look at the contrast between this thing here and these. These are soulless. In fact, many of them are just mirrors. And all these industries, we're just going to live. They're swallowed up, torn down. This is the Empire Building on 16th Street. This here is the first one, of which they've given me some substantial things to discuss. And so discuss it I shall. Construction on this building began in 1906, we're told. During the Depression, the 1890s, there was widespread business failures, unemployment, labor unrest, and agricultural distress. However, 1906, $7 million were spent on new construction in Denver, which comes out to about, $140 million in today's dollars. And so what did they build with all this money? Well, they built the Carnegie Library, which only cost about $5 million, the YMCA building, a temple, and a city auditorium. That's it. So in 1906, this building was created, replacing a low block of stores. Like many of the historic post-1900 structures, it illustrates the modernization of the downtown business district. Indeed, the developers and owners were pioneer Colorado businessmen. Why, one served in the 11th Ohio Cavalry during the Civil War, and then was sent west to take part in military expeditions in Wyoming. By the 70s, he was working for the railroad. He later worked for the Denver Railroad in various cities in Colorado as a paymaster, trainmaster, and superintendent. He served as a Republican state representative, and in 1885, he ran unsuccessfully for the office of mayor. He also formed a real estate partnership the same year as he ran for mayor with Horace Bennett. All that by the age of 40. Born in Michigan was his partner. Mr. Bennett came to Denver in 1883 at the age of 21, where he had already established several successful mercantile businesses as a teenager. At age 23, he became Mr. Meyer's partner, and so the 37-year-old and the 23-year-old went into business together, neither of them having anything to do with real estate. In their lives up until now, they became responsible for the largest and most influential real estate firms in Denver, responsible for the construction of several large business blocks in the downtown area in a time of economic downturn. These amazing savants have been identified closely with every real estate movement of the city. Their investments were said to comprise of some of the most desirable properties in the city. Amazing, isn't it? They were also involved somehow in the development of the mining town of Cripple Creek. You see, in the late 1880s, after two short-lived and largely unsuccessful mining booms, at which time Bennett was just moved here, and Mr. Myers was just wrapping up his unsuccessful bid for mayor, somehow these two guys descended upon the hills around Cripple Creek, and so they just said, okay, fine, we'll buy much of the grazing land somehow, including the ranch of Robert Womack, who miraculously discovered gold in the area just a few years later, at which point these two turned their grazing lands into the town site of Fremont, later called Cripple Creek. Town lots sold for $3,000 as the mining boom flourished, and by 1900, Cripple Creek was producing a fourth of the gold in the United States, and those two jerk-offs sold more than 500,000 of town lots, which by today's standard would be about $10 million each. Then, of course, they took this money back to Denver and rebuilt the entire downtown area. Amazing, isn't it? Now, there was a third owner, Jerome S. Richet, a French immigrant who came here when he was 16 years old in 1866, and by the age of 21 opened Denver's famous Charpiot Hotel in 1871. Nicknamed the Delmonico of the West, it was famous for excellent French cuisine and celebrity clientele. Following the success of his hotel, 21-year-old Richet began investing in real estate because everyone was just a prodigy back then. Do you see what I'm saying about these fucking stories? Here we got another guy, Frank Edbrook, the architect. Born in Lake County, Illinois in 1840, served with the 12th Illinois Infantry during the Civil War. Worked with his father, rebuilding structures after the 1871 Chicago fire. Later worked for the railroad. Did that for about 6 years. Then his brother, Willoughby, a prominent Chicago architect, was hired by Horace Tabor to design the Tabor Block in Denver. Even though he had done nothing except work on the railroad for the past 5 years. We modernized the Opera House, which is one of the most influential buildings. By the late 1880s, so in just a few years, he became the city's most successful commercial architect. The silver turn of 1893, however, led to a dramatic downturn into construction in Denver. Oh, God! However, Edbrook, being the non-existent person that he is, survived the crash. He designed many of the public buildings, residences, commercial blocks. After completing 36 years of architectural work, he moved to California and promptly died. Remodeled it completely. Now, historically, this section of downtown Denver contains several amazing buildings, and they've all been demolished. They were all built by Bennett and Myers and designed by Frank Edbrook, and they've all been demolished. And in the 20s, Mr. Bennett sold the Empire Building to Leopold Goldman, who was also born in Germany and also came to the United States at age 17. In 1879, he opened the Golden Eagle Dry Goods Store. The store's motto, buy and sell for cash, completely creative, underscored Goldman's business acumen, and he invested the store's profits in Denver real estate. When he died in 1936, he was the largest single holder of real estate in Denver. And now, all of those buildings, as of the summer of 86, the office tenants of the building were given eviction notices, and by January 1987, the upper floors were vacated and the building was demolished less than 75 years after its construction. Now, does that sound like a plausible story for how this building came into being? This one right here, this is the old Moffett Station. David Moffett, ah yes, the early Denver pioneer and businessman. One of the only two remaining railroad stations in Denver. Stands quiet and unused today. Most people drive by, taking a second glance at the old station, but probably never thinking very long about its history. Yet this brick and stone building, erected in 1906, once saw busier days. Turn of the century, Many passengers boarded the trains of Denver and rode west across the Rocky Mountains and onto Hot Sulphur Springs, Kremling, and Craig, Colorado, using this station. A summer trip thrilled Denverites. The trains quickly took them out of the plains into the nearby foothills and mountains west of the city. One of the very few ways for the Coloradans and their visitors to journey into the Front Range, the Moffat was the first major rail line to connect them with Denver for residents on the other side. Now, he fell short of his goal, dying a few years after this, and it caused the Moffat Road to falter and stop. Moffat arrived in Denver in 1860 from New York at age 21. First, he was in Des Moines. He settled in the frontier town of Des Moines, and then at age 16, he moved on to Omaha, Nebraska. While still in his teens, he begins trading in real estate, earning substantial profits. Where have we heard that before? Oh yeah, every other person ever came here. Blah, blah, blah. Well, in his teens still, Moffat and other Nebraskans heard daily of the spectacular gold rush at the eastern edge of the Rocky Mountains near the confluence of the South Platte River and Cherry Creek, and so they set off, certain of the economic rewards. He became junior partner in the Omaha firm of Woolworth and Moffat, and bought 3 wagon loads of books and stationery to Denver. Oh, quite impressive for someone who is not even 19 years old. He opened a corner store with his 3 wagon loads of books and stationery, worked diligently in the following years to make Denver a success. He helped open up the isolated frontier town by providing telegraph service in his store. At age 23, he aided in the establishment of a gasworks, as well as helping form the Denver City Water Company and the Denver Electric and Cable Railway in 1885. All this, amazing. And when did he have time to learn all this, I wonder? Now, telegraphs and public utilities were just two of the early foundations upon which Moffat built his empire. For many years, he was also Colorado's most prominent and powerful banker. Of course, these stories are preposterous. He chartered the First National Bank of Denver in 1865 as the unchallenged leader of the state's largest financial institution. Keep in mind, he was born in 1839. So he's age 26 when he opens the state's largest financial institution, as well as everything else. He freely invested much of the bank's holdings in Colorado mines, which produced him a fortune by 1902. By then, his wealth was secure, I'd say so. He could easily have withdrawn from public life to bask in the glow of his substantial success. But no. Driven by an unrealized goal, he would not allow rest. Longtime booster of the railroads, he yearned to build the first major railroad that would head directly east and into Colorado and into Utah. Several railroad builders faced this mighty engineering challenge before and faltered before the daunting topographical climatic barriers of the Rocky Mountains. By 1902, however, armed with his fortune and a wealth of previous railroad experiences and a penis the size of Idaho, he tackled one of the most ambitious business projects of his storied life. If only he could overcome the persistent obstacles that men and nature placed before him. Alas, you already know how that happened. It didn't. The Rocky Mountains are no barrier for me, said Mr. Moffat probably, as he confronted competing corporate barons, railroad builders who were like himself, and those naysayers who saw no merit in his grand plans. Those short-sighted buffoons. Wide-open business arena of his day, where capitalists fought each other like Roman gladiators, often to the death, Moffat threatened to challenge the autocratic power of the corporate barons. Being a corporate baron himself, he wasn't interested in sharing his grip over Western transportation either. And the struggle continues between rich guys who most likely inherited all the things that they have from theft, trickery, and being first on the scene. If they even exist at all. Right, Jimmy? You fake frickin' engineer? This is the Lace House, one of the many historic buildings in the Central City Black Hawk National Historic Landmark District, composed of 3 towns of Black Hawk, Central City, and Nevadaville. The first and most productive gold mines in the vast arid intermountain region of the western United States were found here, which, by design, drew the largest population movement to the area. From 1859 to 1893, when its production was finally surpassed by other mining areas, but until then, by God, it was glorious. Gregory Gulch is where they found their first strikes. Towns were hastily constructed, and a few substantial buildings were built, but you know, miners don't need much. And finally, when the people got their gold, they used their newfound wealth to build newer, grander, more substantial houses, often replacing earlier structures. Wink, wink. Today, those towns retain an exceptional degree of their historic appearance. The Lace House has both received lavish attention and suffered benign neglect at the same time. That's just so like you. Built as a wedding gift, according to local folklore, Smith was the secretary of a company which built and managed a toll road. And as a secretary, well, hell, they know how to build shit like us. And as a matter of fact, him and his father and uncle, Ebenezer, decided to take advantage of new territorial legislation that allowed the incorporation of toll road companies. So they built a road in less than a year's time, we're told. Get it? Like TOL. And
And from that point, the house is kicked down a few times, passed around, Miners, widows, and whatnot give interviews later talking about she bought the house with her husband's insurance money after he died of the miner's disease, whatever the fuck that is. The house was vacant. The city periodically took title to it for back taxes, of course, when City Black Hawk formally took possession of it. There was a fire in the house, shocking, in 1938. The fire was caused by sparks from the railroad, which was just across Main Street. 1943, the city sold the house to Evelyn Hume for $10. Miss Hume refused to sell the house. However, she deeded the house to the city of Black Hawk. The fuck story is this? And somehow, this represents the classic example of the Carpenter Gothic structure of the mining area. What a bunch of hogwash. How did people ever even believe this stuff? This not looking very, like it really meshes well stylistically with the rest of the house. I mean, one of these things is not like the other. And why would your door be way up here? More industry, railroad bridges, and viaducts that have long been demolished. Oh, here's the deal of the day. Deal of the day. Ring the buzzer, Jimmy. And if you act now, you can get this lovely piece of property and all that comes with it. Which, at this point is, remember the smelter we looked at last time? Yeah, well, this is where the boss man lived. That's right. This is a commercial street bridge spanning what looks like Purgatory River. Some people like it for the starkly functional purposes, but I think it's actually more aesthetically refined. It's the only bridge in Colorado to have been built by Marsh's company, whatever that is, and whoever he is, or she. It was built in 1905, and 1 year. Yeah, pretty fancy. Not too shabby. There he is, the Marsh Bridge Company. All the way from Iowa, huh? Don't forget about Inspector John Conkey. Frig off, Conkey.
Plaster over stone. So typical. Hey, this shifty guy. Showing based on a historic photo. Just show us the frickin' photograph. Unless you want me to take some creative liberty, because I have no problem adding my own flair. Sadly, Denver too exploited the cheap labor provided by Chinese immigrants. 600 pictures. Yeah, right. There was 1,300 in this batch. I remember it like it was yesterday. I mean, today. It was today. Keep it moving, buddies. And here we have some bullshit put together by archaeologists intending to mislead people about the natives that were here before. And we'll touch on that later. Picture happens to be one that I'm featuring in my next expose. This was blacksmith shop. It belonged to the Pawnee Mill, which is no longer with us, sadly. And here's the inside. It's about what you'd expect. Beautiful. I mean, if you like rubble. Rubble can be beautiful. Look at Barney. These are the only buildings surviving in St. Elmo associated with mining and milling. You can tell by the vertical planks that it was favored. This is the type of construction, at least. It was favored by milling companies. If you're not a miller, you turn your boards sideways, like us. Don't get it twisted now. You're putting out the wrong calling card. Well, you're going to have some guests stop by that you might not exactly want. Some unsavory fellers. That's what I'm told. Quiet down now, ferocious guard dog. Lest any of you get any ideas. He eats men for breakfast. Not just one, either. Many, if he had his druthers. Platoons. This is the saloon and miners' exchange. It could be both. One of the few commercial buildings erected during St. Elmo's final boom, sometime 1908 to 1917. It's called Hellman's Saloon. Hellman. There seems to be a Hellman in every city, isn't there? Look at him puffing up his front chest like he's a badass. Really, he's behind it. You call that a bonfire? Just bunch of sissies around here in St. Elmo's, acting all big with your facade up here. You ain't shit. This is the Mercantile Company of St. Elmo's, one of the two major general stores that served St. Elmo's during its final boom. They moved everything aside like this because some carpet cleaners is coming tomorrow. Oh, damn it, who spilled hay everywhere? For fuck's sake, Leonard. I told you we was having company. But really, why is there a bunch of hay in there? Y'all letting them donkeys hang out in here again? As if we couldn't tell. Printed on the door like we're stupid. Look, it's a ghost. Ooh, turn on the television. I'm waiting for my show to come on. That's right, folks. Step right on up. This here property's for sale. It's ready to move in right now. As long as you don't go to the other side of it. I'll spoil the surprise, I guess. Move on. Got some new people coming up. I'm gonna sucker somebody into it. St. Elmo seems like a real tricky place. All right, y'all. Who took the church bell? You using that as a spittoon again? God damn it, boy. Wait a second. Anyway, where were we? Interesting logo, isn't it? Radiation? As in radium, perhaps? Oh shit, the old ball and chains here. I got to dip. Sorry, fellas, I'll meet you next week. Why would you go waste money on them nice doors like this when this place looks like this? Y'all got your priorities all scrunchered up. Scrunchered? That's a word. I just said it. That's how you know. Yeah. If anyone is still around this place, St. Elmo's, well, I don't think they're in good health. 7 million bottles sold in 2 years, huh? supposed to say this word backwards. Calling that. As in, you calling that good sales? That shit's piddly. There is information here, but not the kind you seek. Ooh, they call the teacher a sissy boy? Oh, damn, he gonna be pissed. Well, we have another one. Oh, wait, no, don't start that. This town is fucking weird. Y'all some creepy son bitches around here. What the fuck? That's supposed to be a middle finger? Bunch of damn sissy boys. Whoa. Hold up.
Hello, girl. If indeed, as a furnace, you can be a girl. Well, I got to know, girl, for how long did you serve? And what kind of mold did they break on you? What kind of mold did they break when they made you? Where were you cast? And what did you do? And why ain't you in my living room? Why isn't you good? You make me wanna eat hot cold, like I'm sure that you did a million times before. What you doing, girl? Besides what you do to me, besides what you do to me, because you've been blowing my mind. Your lost art form, girl. These motherfuckers traded your kind for some plastic shit. Bullshit, girl. It might eat thorns, but it don't got class like you. Why ain't you in the back of my living room? I would've stroked your little brow. I would've told you exactly how you make me feel, girl, all the time. You make me wanna eat hot coals. You make me wanna eat hot